Welcome to the Omni Talk Fast Five, sponsored by Takeoff, the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, and for the next month, Manhattan Associates. Today is March 13th, 2021. I am your host, Chris Walton, and I am joined, as always, by the illustrious Ann Mazinga. Ann,
ooh, I get illustrious again, huh?
Got illustrious today. Yes,
oh, wow.
of course.
Thank you.
No,
That's so nice of you.
You totally deserve it. No, I'm feeling good, Ann. I'm feeling good. Like we're closing up the week here. I did another tasting event last week. For those listening, like I've been doing all these different like wine tasting events with different retail execs. And if you're interested, you should definitely give us a call. We can talk more about it. But like started doing them with the wine last night. We did our first whiskey tasting event and people stuck around for like another half hour, 45 minutes just to talk retail. It was amazing.
Dude, you're getting so bougie. I'm going to have to give you a hard time, I think, because you're doing conferences with like MIT and NASA professors. This week, you're like doing whiskey tastings, like pinkies up, man.
Yeah, I knew nothing about whiskey, by the way. Absolutely zero.
I know. I'm aware.
Yeah, no, I learned a little bit, but I still didn't learn that much. But you want to talk bougie? Let's get to the real bougie headline. Like, oh
my God,
late night comedians love Donald Trump because of how much material that he would give them. I think Mark Laurie is my Donald Trump. Like, I cannot believe how much material he is giving to me right now. First, you had the Timberwolves. Then there's like food trucks for rich people. You want to talk bougie? And oh my God, I can't believe the reaction on social media to that one. And then yesterday we get this story that he's like starting a new venture fund with A-Rod. And well, I just can't even take anymore. But I know you had a lot of thoughts on that in terms of reading like what he's trying to do with A-Rod here. Like,
oh my God,
just blather on, because I'm curious to hear what you think.
I walked right into that one. I set it up for you, and now we're never going to get off Mark Laurie.
We're never probably going to
for the entire podcast.
Once you say bougie, it's like word association with me.
Oh my God. No, I read that article about the social commerce company that the company sold 40% of their company for $10 million to A-Rod and Mark Laurie. I just feel like, I don't know, Mark's walking around and he's just like the hot girl from the 80s movies that everybody wants to date, that just goes around breaking hearts, just like one right after another. And I texted you, like, I have this vision of like Doug McMillon and A-Rod sitting down, just like hands embracing each other. Like, it's going to be okay, man. She did it to me too. She did it to me too.
No. And so everyone understands what we're talking about too. So yesterday the story broke. Matt Boyle, great reporter from Bloomberg, he said that they A-Rod, I just can't even bring myself to say this, A-Rod and Mark Laurie have started a new fund. And of course, it's called Vision Capital People, with slashes in between all those words, or VCP for short. And it launches with 50 million of the pair's own money. And then they say they could eventually raise another 300 to 500 million dollars. And it's like you said, they've come out and said, we're going to take early stage stakes in companies in the range of 40 to 80%. And they talked about this one company which is in like, it looks like social commerce live streaming. I went on their site yesterday. It's got one of those wait lists, which was also the jet black tactic to make it sound like it was cool, but it never was. But yeah, these guys basically gave these founders $10 million for a 40% stake in their company. And I don't get why you would take this deal, because you're going to get snookered. Like, even if this thing has a huge exit, you're not going to get a huge piece of that. Like, it's just not going to make sense for you. And then if you're taking this philosophy long run, right? Like, you're possibly, if you're Laurie and A-Rod, you're using other people's money. And so you're getting these huge stakes. You get other people in there to run these things. Like, you've got no risk here. You're just selling yourself as an advertiser. You're like Ronco selling the hairspray again. Like, that's all this is. Like, I just...
That was a food dehydrator, I think. Ronco.
Oh, he had everything. That what we're talking about? Set it and forget it. Like, I think that's probably part of the pitch. Like, hey, give me 40% of your company and we can set it and forget it.
He was the pre-Shark Tank
shit out of this one. Just buyer beware on this. Like, I just don't get it. The other part too that I think gets me, I think you'll understand. That's part of why we do what we do. It's funny because I was thinking about this morning. I read in The Hustle, great newsletter. They had a statistic today, like 3 out of 5 new businesses never even make money. And 80% of them don't even make it to the second year. So you can try to buy into all this stuff, all this fancy glitz and glam, but I just come back to it again. Like, what the hell do Mark Laurie and A-Rod know about live stream commerce? Like, honestly, somebody tell me, because Mark started 2 companies and he knows live streaming. Fuck off. He doesn't know that. Like, come on. And by the way, show me what the hell he did. Again, I will say this till the cows come home. What the hell hell did the guy do at Walmart for the last 4 or 5 years? Somebody tell me. And they're off buying some new company. Walmart's off buying some new company today. God, I don't know.
And they're taking my Timberwolves.
Yeah, and well, fortunately, the deal looks like it hasn't closed yet. So I'm still holding
they're
out
still
hope
talking.
that there is a God out there in heaven that is looking over you and I, because you and me, excuse me, bad language. But anyway, enough about that. We actually didn't want to talk about Mark Lori, but the material is just so prevalent we had to. And for those that are loyal to the show, know that it's just like it's a thing. But anyway, let's get going, Ann. I think we got to get this momentum going. What do you think? Should we build some momentum here?
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get the party started, man.
Yeah, I think we need to build momentum because Manhattan's Momentum Connect event is coming up soon, and it's going to be big. I told you guys last week I'm speaking at it, but you can expect some big announcements related to everything Manhattan's doing in cloud commerce. And word has it, there's even a couple big global partners of Manhattan who also may be making big announcements at the event too. You can register for the event in the show notes. We will put the link in there. Hope you'll come and check it out. I'm really excited about the speech I'm giving on the 5 trends that are converging to shape the future of retail. All right, we've got a great show today. In today's Fast Five, we're going to discuss eBay allowing NFT sales. I like saying that already. Dick's Sporting Goods' new off-price concept. This was a huge popular topic for everyone on social media. Tanger, if I'm saying that right, Ann, correct me if I'm wrong. That's right.
Rhymes with hanger from past
Tanger
episodes.
And Hanger. Tanger Outlets and Fillogic have a new partnership. Circle K has a new beverage subscription. We're going to end with that because Ann is in love with this one, and I can't understand why when she poo-pooed Panera so much. Good alliteration there. But first, we're going to start and take off like we always do with Walmart now, running scared like Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal in an 80s movie. And I think you have the honors.
I do. So our first headline this week, according to a leaked Walmart memo, Walmart outlined the uphill battle that they face, particularly in grocery, against competitors Amazon, Target, Instacart, and others. So the 100-page memo was actually an RFP for agencies that they were looking to help handle the planning and buying of ad placements for the retail giant. The document also hints at the challenges that the company's new subscription service, Walmart Plus, is facing in retaining new members. Chris, you have been questioning, I feel like the Walmart Plus WTF moment has been happening for us on a repeat basis over the last couple of weeks. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been on this. I mean, let's play back the trajectory. Like, right, it was really even in the beginning, it was really critical of everything they were doing digitally under Lori. Then it felt like they kind of got rid of that and they started going in a different direction. And they started off the pandemic, I think, really strong. And I was excited about Walmart Plus. But then as things started to play out, you started to see where the chinks in the armor were going to be. And we've been talking about this now for, I think, probably 6 or 7 months, which number one, Walmart is in a rock and a hard place when it comes to the third-party delivery marketplaces. You've got Target with Shipt, Amazon running its own network, and Instacart becoming stronger by the day. And also GoPuff now sitting out there doing what it's doing in a pretty strong and big bad way too. Walmart is sitting in isolation there. I don't know what their play is right now. And I've said this 1,000 times on social media. The biggest regret of McMillan's career is going to be wasting / spending $3 billion on Jet when they should have been probably looking at Instacart at around that same period of time for that probably similar sum of money. So that's one. The second thing too, Walmart Plus, I am really worried about this now. And I was saying how they needed to make it cool back last fall, right? Like I was saying, put the Sam's Club subscription into it, do something. There is nothing that's been happening with this. It's not interesting. Also, the other thing that's the canary in the coal mine for me, why aren't they saying what their statistics are if it's good? Disney Plus was shouting from the heaven its statistics. Target was shouting its statistics for Circle Perks or whatever the hell that thing's called. Walmart hasn't said a goddamn thing about this, which means it ain't good. All right, it ain't. Right. And so they got to do something cool with this, or otherwise this is a real threat. Oh, and lastly, let's not forget this. Amazon Fresh is still coming, right? That's knocking on the door of every suburban community in the country, and they're going to figure out mass retail at great prices pretty damn well, if the history is any indication. So yeah, if I was Walmart, I don't know that this story is the burning platform enough.
Right. I completely agree. I mean, I think that for me, it was like, look, Walmart, you can't rest on what you have been for years. Your 4,700 plus store locations, like that's becoming irrelevant. And like you said, Chris, I think the gap is closing in. There was a few articles that came out that said, Amazon's supposed to be the US's largest retailer by 2025, and there's multiple reasons for that. For the expansion of fresh, I also think strategy for stores, like they don't need 100,000 square foot boxes for Amazon that that Walmart has. They're figuring out how to do this more efficiently and how to have more density in communities without having as huge a footprint as they need to, and operations that go with that. So yeah, I think Walmart Plus came out with their big stats. Remember, like they had 11,000 people or something in the first week, and it's always kind of been,
the people say survey. Yeah.
Yes, it's always been a little cloudy. So, but I will say in closing, I'm kind of rooting for Walmart a little bit. I think if I was to predict, I think we're going to have a big announcement from them in the next couple of months.
Really?
And yeah, I do. I think that like they've been quiet as far as like what they're really going to be doing as far as innovation is concerned to truly compete against Amazon. So my thought is that they have something brewing, and we'll hear something in the next few months, or we're in big trouble.
I hope so. Here's what I think is going to happen. And I know they listen to the show too, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to try to make some big announcements. Now, my question will be, are those just the sizzle announcements like you saw today? Like they bought some fashion fit startup, which we can go into that later. I'm not huge into that, but okay, fine. But like, are they going to start making sizzle announcements like that? Or are they going to actually do something that moves the needle? It
has to be a move the needle.
Well, and here's the thing, so that Sam's Club thing, like boom, that would move the needle for me if they were to do something like that. Or like do something like the healthcare stuff is taking way too long. I think the other motif you're seeing here is it just takes these big companies way too long to move and do something cool. And a lot of people on social media, LinkedIn, are saying like, oh, but give them all the credit for everything they've done in grocery. Well, everyone's done that in grocery. I keep saying that. Like, look at what Mark Lowry, I get that all the time. Look at what Mark Lowry did for Walmart and grocery. No, everyone was doing that. Everyone was starting to do that. If Walmart needed to pay somebody $3 billion to see that, what the fuck is all I have to say? Like,
oh my God. So we are getting like double explicit rating on this podcast.
No, I mean, yeah, sorry. Earmuffs, everyone. But like, if they've got to do something bold. They've got to do something big. And if this isn't a wake-up call, I know it's just one report, but this should be a wake-up call. There has to be something more palpably different. All right. Story number 2. I think that's mine. All right. I'm pretty psyched about this one too. So eBay, I mentioned this before, but eBay has been coming on strong. So this week they announced that they're going to be the first player to accept NFTs, again, non-fungible tokens, hard to say.
There you go.
Digital collectibles. Like trading cards, images, and video clips on its platform. If you haven't learned about NFTs yet, look it up because it's really, really interesting. So they're the first e-commerce player to jump headfirst into the NFT swimming pool, so to speak. And they've also been hiring a ton of people. So a ton of people are leaving big name companies to go to eBay, specifically the one we just talked about, Walmart. So just in the last few weeks, Stephanie Jay, who used to be in charge of like the digital advertising network at Walmart, she's now gone over there to head up to be their chief business and strategy officer. Their CEO left Walmart also, Jamie Iannone. He went to become the CEO from Walmart. They got a guy named Jordan Sweetnam who also left Walmart to go over there. He's on the digital product development side. And rumor has it they're getting a ton of execs from all over the place too. Something is in the water over at eBay that is getting people interested in them. And I also think this announcement is super sweet. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think that you're right. Like something's cooking over there. And one, I think the Stephanie J hire is a huge one. You look at where a lot of these platforms, Amazon, Walmart, Target, like Kroger, everybody's building their advertising networks to supplement the income for a lot of the other innovation work that they have in the works. And so I think that was a big hire to still like really propel eBay forward and really be competitive in that space. And then working with NFTs and crypto and blockchain buying, like that seems like we were talking about yesterday. You said like that's on par for eBay. It makes sense for them to be doing that. And I think that further legitimizes crypto too. And like, and these NFTs and being able to transact in this way, like now that eBay is going to be providing that as an option, they haven't confirmed crypto payment yet, but that's in the works. Like having that as the platform to make those transactions makes it I would say, accessible for a lot more people.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Last week, one of my biggest takeaways from last week was the top 10 list. Actually, I've been thinking about writing about it, but like the top 10 e-commerce push. You forget just how big eBay is. And I had this conversation, you and I had it too, but I had it with somebody else too. It's like, who even goes to eBay anymore? I haven't gone there in like forever, like to shop, but they're still doing a ton of volume. And you're right, like NFT, that's their history, right? Like they started as an online auction site. What better place to try to get into this? They haven't even really touched the other market in terms of like, say, the StockX stuff and all that. Like there's still probably a lot of like low hanging fruit to pick up there for people that aren't Gen Z or millennials. So like the Gen X's and up could probably easily still go to eBay and get that. It might not be cool, but you could poach that volume for sure. But like NFT makes sense. Like I think the whole, how do we buy and sell and trade these and where do we go and where are we going to do it comfortably and confidently as, you know, as consumers, like eBay has as much right to win, I think, in that as anybody. So I think it's cool. I think it's different. It gets me interested. And for anyone listening out there too, the other part that I'm kind of cool, that I've kind of been super psyched about is not only the buying and selling of NFTs, but what's the showcase? What's the trophy, the digital online trophy case showroom for NFTs? I want to see how that starts to play out and what people get into that space. I think that's cool. If you have ideas too, let me know because I'd be interested to learn more about that. All right, want to keep on rolling?
Let's do it.
Right.
So this was maybe one of my, I think this is my favorite headline actually
Really?
of the show. I'm going to tease it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dick's Sporting Goods is opening a new off-price concept called Going, Gone. And that's how you have to say it when you want to go there anytime.
Holy cow.
The going, gone concept, not to be confused with their warehouse sales, which they're also still doing, will feature surprising deals on unique finds in footwear and apparel with deep discount events throughout the year. Big news here, Chris. Also, this is our A&M put you on the spot question.
Oh, Jesus, really?
So
Oh,
you are on the spot
I didn't know that.
this week.
Oh, great.
So the A&M Consumer and Retail Group says we get the concept of Dick's off price. Makes sense. Now, that said, in the athletic apparel space, Nike, Adidas, Reebok, some of Dick's biggest partners, they've all been pursuing their own D2C strategies, going forward with their own outlet channels. They're severing ties with people like Nike and DSW. They cut ties. What do you make of this disconnect and the implications that it has on Dick's Sporting Goods vendor relationships?
Whoa. That is a good question. Wow, that is a definitely next level question. Whoa, kudos to the A&M group for coming up with that. That's why we bring them to you guys every week on this show. Whoa, I think that's probably the most heady question those guys have ever asked. Wow, where do I start? Okay, I think first of all, I do like the move. I think it makes sense. Like, even though I made fun of the name going, gone and how ironic that is with everything that's happening in e-commerce, I think it's a great move. I mean, I think you're going to need more places to get rid of discounted merchandise, but specifically returned merchandise. I think we have to figure out different ways to do that. And so I think Dick's makes sense. The question that they're getting at, though, is what does this mean in terms of channel partnerships with all the brands that go into the store? I think that's fascinating, too. I mean, my take right now, my hot take would be, I think there's space for a category killer in most businesses. And I want to hear from you because you're kind of living this lifestyle a little bit more than I am with the young kids right now. But so I think of places like Dick's. I think there's a need for a physical sporting goods store. Best Buy. I think there's still a need for a physical electronics store. IKEA. Who gets left out of that is like places like Bed Bath & Beyond don't fit the mold in that for me. And I think the reason being, like, what's the chore you have to get done? And when you're talking sporting goods with kids, that is a chore you have to get done. And there's some efficiencies and convenience to having that physical location. So I think that's always going to exist. So I'm not worried about this from a channel partnership perspective, because I think all that can be written out contractually in terms of what inventory goes where and how Dick's needs to think about it. And I think both sides will need each other. So let's just use Nike as the example. I think Nike will still need Dick's as the outlet for their product to tap into that consumer base who has that chore to get done. And so I think it'll be kind of this symbiotic relationship, even though this type of, outlet strategy is also being stood up. But tell me where I'm wrong and what did I miss there? Because that's a tough question. And granted, this is not my wheelhouse either. I'll say that right off the bat.
I agree with you. I actually think it would shock me if Nike and Adidas and some of these other brands, especially when you think about it, not as like the lifestyle stuff, not as like the clothing, the lifestyle footwear, the hot sneaker drops. Like that's
Right.
not where Dick's is
That's not
playing.
what they're going to
Okay.
be about. Yeah,
They're
they're never going to
playing
be that.
in the
That's a good point.
sporting goods equipment. Like it's not
Right.
the same thing. Nike wouldn't, like, they don't have the footprint to dedicate to like carrying 6 different brands of baseball or formats of baseball gloves.
Right.
And I totally agree with you. There is nowhere else to go anymore. There's the mom and pops are practically gone when it comes to this category. And so when you need, which happens a lot, like you're at a tournament somewhere and you need new shin guards or you need new socks, like this is it. This is your only spot to go. And so I think that this move is so smart by Dick's. I love it. I think we have the main store that can still focus on these really cool experience things where you have, trials for different soccer cleats and all of those like really great things to go hard on like what you're going to a Dick's Sporting Goods store for. But then I also love this like off-price concept because you know what I don't care about when I'm buying new soccer cleats for my 8-year-old, whether they're this year's version or last year's version. I don't care, and neither do they. They want a soccer cleat that's affordable that gets them into the sport. And so I think that there's tons of opportunity here, like you said, with returns and really getting that affordable price point, because your other alternative is ordering from Amazon. And I just did that for my son's cleats this year. It took 2 weeks for them to get here. Actually, 3 weeks from Nike directly, 2 weeks from Amazon, and 3 weeks from Nike directly to get one pair of cleats. Like that's not going to work for people. You got to have this option. And so I love what they're doing here.
Yeah, even as you say what you just said too, I think there's some benefit to Nike to say, hey, for that type of product, Dick's, why don't you handle all that? Like we don't want the cost of all that. Like why don't you handle the liquidation and markdowns of all that stuff and the reselling of all that stuff? Yeah, I think it makes the other part too is going back to like the category killer and who survives. There's a tactile element to that purchase process too. Like you want confidence in the equipment, right? Just like you want confidence sometimes in what electronics you're buying because you're spending the money. I think again, like those are important questions to think about who thrives here in the future of, I think, physical retailing. So that was a cool discussion. God, I love doing this show. That was so much fun. All right, who's got the fourth one? Is that me or you?
That's you.
It's me. All right, of course it is, because I didn't know. All right, so after what was a successful test at Deer Park Center on Long Island, Tanger Outlets has announced that they're partnering with Fillogic to do online fulfillment for all of their other outlets. Yes, did you like that accent? I tried my Long Island accent. I can't do it.
It's terrible.
Well.
It just sounded like you were gargling. Like
I'm better at dropping my R's and trying to get a maybe a little Boston accent going. But anyway, here's how it works. At each property, Fillogic, their staff's going to pick up the merchandise purchased online, and they're going to basically keep a collection of online inventory from retailer stores and then aggregate it and then pre-sort it for efficient and consolidated pickup and delivery through what they're calling their proprietary DPN. I always like a little DPN. Their delivery provider network. They'll also provide a host of different services, including same-day delivery for anyone in the area, one-stop shopping and by one-stop shopping, I mean, it sounds like in this case, it's allowing customers to conveniently drop off online returns at these sites within these outlet centers as well. Man, there's been a lot happening in this space. Ann, why don't you get the first take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're starting to finally see some movement from mall owners, not just mall owners either, like strip centers, how the pandemic kind of forced them to rethink, where's one zone where we can have consolidated curbside pickup, and then kind of like letting that bubble up and continue on and say, okay, if we're going to offer one zone, what do we have to do as a center to make that faster, to get cars through there faster? And then they're starting to kind of expand the thinking around what it's going to take to operate this property as one, functioning, living, breathing organism. And we're seeing some really cool stuff about it. I mean, we have Adept Mind. We're doing a conversation with Jesse Michael talking about how they brought the entire mall online next week, which I'm really excited for. It's stuff like this that's just it's coming to the fore now, and I think that that it's a great indication of kind of where people should be thinking if they're not already.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there is a ton of heat. I am getting in conversations. In fact, I'm doing a panel. I did a panel today on this very topic with real estate people up in Montreal earlier today around how do you make malls shoppable online. But there's a ton of heat coming on this. Here's my thing though. I think there's two ways you're seeing people think about this. There's people that are thinking about it psychologically, and then there's people that are thinking about it executionally, and it's on each side of those ends.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't agree with this approach. This isn't the approach I recommend because you're getting very logistical and tactical very fast, which is like you're setting up the hubs, you're trying to coordinate all the delivery logistics. The bigger question to me though is how are you marketing and communicating to the right psychology? And this is what we go into with Jesse. And at some point the two are going to meet and the magic is going to be made. But I take more of the, hey, how are people wanting to shop? How are people wanting to engage? Figuring out all those things and then doing what you need to on the back end of the execution side until you have the right answers before you start to invest in these types of relationships. Again, they're going to meet in the middle, but that's the approach that I think I espouse. And if you're interested in learning more, you should definitely check out the Adept Mind conversation because Jesse and I go really deep. We're going to go really deep on this in a live LinkedIn session next week. I'll try to remember to put the invite in the show notes. We talk about this whole thing that I just described for about 40 minutes, and you can live chat and ask him questions about what he's learned along the way to make Centennial Malls shoppable to the degree that they are, which they just launched last week at Main Place Mall out in California.
All right. Should we go on to the next headline, Chris?
Let's
wrap it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So the convenience store chain Circle K is launching a beverage subscription program called Sip and Save, where customers can have one tea, coffee, Froster slushy, or Polar Pop fountain drink of their choosing every day for the low price of $5.99 per month.
I do love doing this show because I realize you're as big of a dork as I am every week.
Oh,
it's pretty fun. It's a good validation.
Obviously. So Chris, this program I think is going to blow the slippery lids off of all of the Panera data that was coming in. I told you, everybody, listeners will recall I was very anti Panera subscription program. Came down a little bit and was like, okay, it's a good idea to keep retargeting your
really? Now you're saying it was
customers.
a good idea. Okay.
I did in the podcast. If you replay that
I think
podcast,
you're wheezing the juice here, Ann. I think you're wheezing the juice.
No, not at all. And I specifically said in that podcast that I think it makes more sense for a C-store to implement this kind of policy than it does Panera, because I think that the concept is much.
I think we made that prediction.
Yes, this will be much better because it's more accessible to more people. I think you have a lot, better hours. Circle K's got like 7,200 locations across the US. Like, yes, I would definitely be willing to pay if I'm already going there in the morning as part of my routine to get gas or to pick up a breakfast snack or something like that. Like, this is golden. I love it.
I'm surprised this took so long, to be honest with you. Like, I really am. Like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, yeah, you get that trip inside that gas station every day or on a regular basis. Yeah, I think that's why we predict. I mean, I'm pretty sure, if I remember back, we predicted that the gas stations would do this next. It's fascinating to think about. What's really curious to me is like if Starbucks ever goes this route, it's just such an addiction. I don't see them ever doing it, but
doesn't make sense for Starbucks. I don't think. No, I think Starbucks loses on that one.
Yeah, I don't think so. The
$7 coffees. Yeah,
I don't think so either. But it's interesting though, because you do wonder how much of a slice will this start to take out of Starbucks over time, or is that just a completely different clientele? But I think it's so funny that you love, it's easy to love this, I guess, is what you're saying. But with Panera, you were like, it's a little bit more of a stretch for me to get you to do that. Was that the philosophy?
I think that's the point that I'm getting at. Like, I would not subscribe to the Panera subscription at all. Like, there's not enough locations. The hours, they weren't even open until 9 a.m. Like, if you're working a construction job and you got to be on the job site by 6 a.m., like, the only place you can go to get your coffee and snacks before work are the convenience stores, and there's 7,200 of them. I mean, the other analog that I had for this, Chris, was like, the gas coupons that they used to give, like 3 cents off per gallon that were on the back of your grocery receipt. People would change their entire shop. They'd search around. They had gas tracker sites online to find the cheapest gas. Like, this is another driver, and I think that we're gonna see people who are like, this makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, this is just a question of math. I mean, $5.99 a month, that's bomb. like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, you know,
It's
then
already
it's just a
paid
question of
for in your first
how
week.
many, right? Just how many incremental purchases you're getting from the customers by doing that. I mean, if anything, I'd be worried that this is maybe too hot of a price. Maybe you should have tried it a little bit higher, like maybe $10 and see if you need to bring it down, because you could always bring it down and give people the benefit of that savings who signed up at the higher price point. So from a merchandising perspective, I don't know that I love the $5.99. Like that's pretty killer and hot.
Limited time offer, Chris. Limited
Right.
time offer.
Yeah, of course. I guess coffee costs nothing, especially coffee probably at a convenience store. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, it's just another thing we predicted a while back that we thought we'd see this coming. It's another one of those things that you kind of want, you sit back and you go, why did it take so long? Even like the NFT story, I was like, how is somebody just now doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and who's, and then the question gets into my head is like, who's gonna be the next one? Like, right? Who's gonna be the next? Like, and who can own that? Like, I think Target's interesting in that conversation. I think Best Buy could be interesting in that Dick's Sporting Goods could be interesting in that conversation. Nike, like, there's just a lot of cool things you could start to do in that space. I mean, of course, there's the online, you know, or the big fashion houses too. Like, it's gonna be fascinating to watch. All right, well, that was a fun show, man. That was a fun show. God, I love doing this. All right, well, anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. Happy birthday today to Robert Pattinson, which, and by the way, have you seen Tenet? That's a good flick.
No, I haven't yet.
Seen that?
I've
That's
heard
good.
it's good. Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. He's pretty good at Pattinson's pretty good in that too. I'm kind of pumped to see him as Batman. Well, anyway, Robert Pattinson, Harvey Keitel, and of course, then there's Maude, the late, great B. Arthur. Oh my God, I screwed that up. B. Arthur.
B. Arthur.
Arthur,
Yes.
not B. Author. B. Arthur,
Yeah.
who somehow finds my way into my writing at least once or twice a year. But remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content exclusive to us and just for you. And it's all, we try really hard to keep it all within the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks, as always, for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. And of course, and as always, be careful out there. The OmniTalk Fast 5 is brought to you with the help and support of the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients' people and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And also Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at a hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. To learn more, visit takeoff.com.